How's it going, guys? So today I thought I would do something a little bit different, and that is to do a live, well, I guess a non-live recording of some gameplay where I go over some replays because I've been playing really well lately. I've been getting better and better at the game, but I just haven't had the time to record videos and like I just but I finally got to Grand Champion today, so I wanted to share some of my really good games here, and show you why I'm not actually a fraud at this game. So I just go for the rocket on that executioner, and here I go for a Tesla in this position. If you go Tesla here, it will kite the Mega Knight, and then I go for Skellies here to DPS down that Mega Knight since the Hog Rider's coming down, and then I avoid any damage at all by getting a NATO on that Hog Rider. So very clean defense there. But yeah, if you place the Tesla in that position, the Mega Knight will jump to it, and then both towers will DPS it down. So that's a pretty nice position. Um, and if you have like skellies or something, you can use that to either kite the jump or hit it after it jumps, like place the skeletons behind. So skeletons can actually be pretty good against Mega Knight as long as you have something else tanking for it. But yeah, he just goes for a boss bandit here, so I'm just going to go for a knight. Make sure to place it in a position where it can't dash, and then he's going to waste one elixir on the dash. So I figure he's spending a lot of elixir here dashing over and over again, so I'm going to go in here because I have a Tesla and an Ice Whiz on the map. And he goes for a terrible hidden Tesla as well, so I can just go for my Skellies here to block for that Lumberjack a little bit. And I could have logged here, but I didn't want to go too aggressive, and I knew that my Tesla and Expo would clean that up fairly easily, and I'd still get a really good lock. So I get a very, very nice lock here. And he goes for a Hog, and because I have the Expo tanking, I know I only have to go for an Ice Whiz and a Knight here to defend rather than like a NATO or a Tesla, which I would normally have to do. And we just get some nice chip there, and he goes for an executioner. I would say a bad executioner because, obviously it's not good against the Evo Knight. And I just go for a log here because I'm leaking elixir and have nothing else really to play. And then I go for defensive expo because I'm a little bit afraid of like Evo Lumberjack, Evo Mega Knight, like a giant push with those things. But I take the rocket on this bandit, thinking that if he reacts fast enough and goes for an ability, I still get damage on the tower, and he wastes one elixir. So I was okay with that trade, but he doesn't, which is really good for me, because I get the damage on the tower, and his boss bandit is severely nerfed. And we get a very beautiful defense here with the defensive expo really putting in work. And the Evo Lumberjack is going to get a little bit of damage, but it's okay. Luckily, it doesn't take out my expo. Instead, it goes for my knight. So I just drop a rocket here because I know I'm up so much damage, and I'm up quite a bit of elixir still too. And I recognize that my opponent is not that good at the game, so I can get away with some of these plays. Um, and we get a pretty nice easy win here because he's just going to I mean, no matter what he does, I have 4,000 health on my tower. I'm just going to do one rocket and then end the game. So that was a very nice, clean, easy win there for that first game. All right, guys. So we're in the next game here, and in this game, this was my rank up game, guys. Okay, and when I saw Mortar, I was just so upset because I had just lost to a Mortar player, and I was like, no, dude, not again. Um, I was on a bit of a losing streak, and like the last thing I lost to before I started winning again was Mortar. So it was, I was really not happy to see Mortar. He does have Mortar and Cannon though, which I thought was a very weird combination. I feel like if you have the Mortar, you don't really also want a Cannon. I feel like if you are going to have a second building with Mortar, you want like either Goblin Hut or Tesla, but even then, like having two buildings is just, I think, not that good in general. So I don't know, it's kind of weird, but he does go for the bats, uh, and I just go for a Tesla here, up high. I mean, kind of a bad Tesla, but I just wanted to predict the mortar, and he didn't go for it. Unfortunately, I thought he would go for it with the bats. Um, but it's not the end of the world. Obviously, he's going to be able to get a mortar down here now, but I recognize that he has the mortar and the witch down, so it actually makes for quite a nice rocket, and I knew that the witch would stop walking because it would shoot at the knight, so that's why I was able to go for that clean rocket there and get a lot of value. And here, I think I'm up more elixir than I am, because I just got a rocket on a mortar and a witch, so I think I go in and try to get a lock once I'm at 10 elixir, but I wouldn't do this knowing what his elixir was now, because he can just, yeah, Valken Cannon, and I don't have my Knight in Cycle, so I can't really do anything about that. And I kind of overcommit here. I should have probably just let it all go, but I was kind of, again, peeved from the last couple of games I'd been playing. Um, yes, I had just recovered back to one more win until Grand Champion, but it was still looking not very good. So I could have rocketed that for sure, predicting the witch, but I just didn't want to risk it. I thought it would be really bad if I got that predict wrong. So instead, I see him go for the fireball, and I get my Evo Tesla down to make sure that I can kill his mortar before anything happens. And my Tesla is in kind of an awkward position, but I decided to go in still because it is an Evo Tesla, and he places his cannon in the wrong spot. I go for a log to take it out faster, so that yeah, exactly. See what he did there, guys. He went for a mortar to try to block the expo, but I used my log to take out the cannon so that he couldn't get it down in time. That was an intentional move, and that is a very nice little thing you can do sometimes. It's just kill whatever unit is on the map faster than usual, even though you're going to kill it anyway, because when you do that, you can get a cheeky little expo luck like I did there. So I go for defensive expo here because I'm up so much damage that I realize that realistically I should just be defending and turtling the whole game. He doesn't have a big spell, and uh, I can go for a nice rocket on that witch there, and he just can't really do much. I just kind of am able to, hunker down, but he could very easily, like, get a nice mortar, predict my Tesla. I do predict his mortar there, though, and I predict his bats with the knight there. Unfortunately, the knight doesn't actually block all the bats, but we do get a nice clean defense still, and I place another defensive expo because I just want to make sure that witch doesn't get any value and just gets taken off of the board. He does go for a fireball, and I'm up a lot of elixir. I think I can make an offense happen, even though I don't need to, right? Like, I should probably just be defending, but I believe that I thought, okay, well, I've got Evo Knight, I should probably just go in here. I do go in, and maybe I can force out, like, his Evo Mortar on a defense or something. And he's struggling here a little bit, because I've got, like, what, 13 elixir on the map, and he's only at 4 elixir. But he does get a fireball down in time, which I was pretty sad about, but it was at that point where if I was up that much elixir and I still wasn't able to break through, I realized, okay, well, there's really no reason for me to go in then because he's not able to get any value, and I can just use defensive expos the entire game to take out his mortar. So this was a very stressful game, not because it was particularly hard. I think this is actually a pretty decent matchup, just based off of like the cards he has. Um, but it just was very hard because this was my rank up game, right? And I'd been stuck at champion for such a long time that finally getting to a grand champion was like, uh, I was just like begging Supercell to give me a good matchup because last time I got one game away, I was against Royal Recruits 3 times in a row, and that was not fun. I almost won, by the way. I almost won that rank up game against Royal Recruits, and then he got a lucky push at the end, and then I lost. So yeah, guys, but super clean game here against Mortar, and he just gives up. He knows it's over, so I just go in for an expo to put him out of his misery. All right, guys, we are in our last game here, and this game is pretty crazy because we were up against Giant Skeleton Ram Rider. And I think Giant Skeleton is kind of a bad matchup for Expo because you can't, like, even if you defend it at the bridge, right? Like, with P.E.K.K.A, you could just stall it at the bridge with the Evo Tesla, the Skeletons, Ice Wiz, etc., and then get an Expo lock anyway because it's just so slow that you can get away with all of that. But with the Giant Skeleton, even if you do bridge block it, the bomb just blows everything up anyway, and then they can defend it easily. So I think that it's a pretty hard matchup. But this guy goes with Prince, Ram Rider, the bridge, and here I'm like, I've just lost the game, because, like, what is all of this on the map? But I actually do survive, and I know that if I go Knight here, I'm just going to lose the game immediately, so I just have to tank that 1,000 damage that the Prince gets. Nerf the Prince, guys, even though it got nerfed already. Nerf the Prince. But yeah, immediately, the only advantage I have in this matchup is that he doesn't have a big spell, but Mini P.E.K.K.A is a really hard card to deal with this deck, I think, especially with a bigger tank like a Giant Skeleton in front of it. And then he's got the Inferno Dragon, which he's not revealed yet, to just DPS down like my Tesla at the bridge, for example. And he's got all these tanks, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Giant Skeleton, Prince, Ram Rider, and it's just going to be impossible for me to break through with the Expo. So getting a rocket there I felt like was really good against the Giant Skeleton, even though obviously it's a -1 trade and he's going to have his Evo Wizard next time. But I just wanted to get that down. He does go for an Inferno Dragon in the back, and Giant Skeleton's handled fairly easily because he doesn't commit with it. And this guy's playing pretty patient. Like, usually, someone with this kind of deck is usually just ridiculously offensive all the time. Um, they just never really think, I guess. Play a really bad knight there. I should have played it in front of the Ice Wizard to defend it, but I kind of failed there. I do go for an Evo Tesla here. He does go for the Wizard, but I felt like that was fine. But now this is a pretty tough situation, so I do go for the rocket. I did, however, wait to use the rocket until after my Princess Tower shot at the Wizard's shield so that it would kill the Wizard too. So pretty nice rocket, pretty well played by me. But now it's looking sketchy because I need a big damage lead if I'm going to win this game. Because I'm never going to get a lock on tower, most likely. So I hunker down with the defensive expo and just set up all my buildings. Like, I'm just playing Clash of Clans at this point. And this guy just goes for a prince in the back. I don't think he knows how to play the prince anywhere but the back. And he goes for the Ram Rider, and I set up another defensive expo because I just know I can get away with it. And I get a pretty nice rocket there against the Inferno Dragon and the Ram Rider. Unfortunately, the prince and the Ram Rider hit my defensive expo, which I was really mad about. I was like, how did that even happen? I mean, that was ridiculous, honestly. But, oh my goodness, sorry about that. But yeah, so he goes for a Giant Skeleton. I go for my Tesla, just setting up my defense again. I go high so that if he goes for a Ram Rider, I can catch it. And I went for those Skeletons there because I was worried he's going to go for an Inferno Dragon on top of my Tesla. But he does wait, which I guess I should have expected, but I did not. So he does go for... He has a pretty scary push going on here, but I do have the Evo Tesla, which kind of bails me out there because it takes out the Inferno Dragon, and I get a super clean defense against this big push, which, I mean, if you looked at that push, it looked like impossible to defend, but it was not impossible to defend because Evolved Tesla is the greatest of all time. I do block the Giant Skeleton here with my Knight, and I recognize that here is my best chance to get an Expo lock this entire game, but unfortunately... I don't get my log down on time, and that Mini P.E.K.K.A. does take out my Expo. So at this point, I'm thinking that this is a really, really bad position to be in. I have to get, like, a rocket at the end of the game, and he doesn't have a big spell. He just has two small spells, which makes it kind of hard to defend, but it does mean that he can't spell cycle me, so I have to play perfect defense, and so the Ram Rider dies pretty easily, and I hope that the Knight does not... or the Giant Skeleton does not hit the Knight, unfortunately, so my Ice Wiz is going to die. But my Expo does lock onto that Wizard, which is pretty nice. And I know that I did just take a lot of damage on my Tesla, but I figured it was fine because, yeah, like if he goes for a Ram Rider, it's just going to die anyway to all the stuff I have there. And I go for a really, really horrendous rocket there. I don't know what that was. I don't even remember. I don't even remember making that play. But that was really bad rocket. That was a Riley rocket right there. Maybe even worse than a Riley rocket. It was that bad. But luckily, we do get a pretty clean defense here, and we end up taking the game, guys. So, yeah, guys, I'm not washed. I can win even against decks with 7 tanks. And that'll be it for today, guys. Sorry for the lack of uploads, but I hope you guys all had a very nice Thanksgiving. And if you don't celebrate it, I hope that day in general was just good for you.